Shrutismridipurāṇānaṁ Ālayam Karuṇālayam Namāmi Bhagavatpādam Shankaram Logashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Vātarāyanam Sutrabhāshya Krito Vande Bhagavando Punah Punah Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmatacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Ukaro Anthakaro Vairukarastannivartakaha Anthakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Bhadram Karne Vishruniyama Deva Bhadram Pashyema Yachatraha Sthirairangai Sushtuvam Sastanubihi Veshema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastachu Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dathatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste, all of you. We are studying Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad and how a traditional teacher unfolds the Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad. In the same manner, we are also discussing the Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad. We are in the kārikā, and kārikā have 4 chapters or 4 sessions. And the first session is called Advaita Prakaranam. And in the Advaita Prakaranam, we are seeing the 26th verse. We will see the 26th verse and we will see what is the meaning of the 26th verse. Before that, what we have gone through 25th, I would like to recollect again so that it will be easy to go through the 26th. I will read and I will give the meaning in a gist form. Yunchida pranave chaitaha pranavo brahma narbhayam pranave nitya yuktasya na bhayam vidyate kochit. Yunchida. May one put together the mind and the intellect towards the knowledge what they have gathered from the scriptures through the help of traditional teacher. The intellect will easily catch up what we have studied under a traditional teacher, the content of the scriptures. The point is, mind is very much habited to go through the worldly activities and worldly affairs and worldly routines. The worldly routines are in tune with the duality. The scriptures unfold that duality never existed at any point of time. Through the scriptures only, duality is nothing but only an illusion. We come to know. Otherwise, duality is true for us. It's real. From the childhood onwards, we are experiencing the duality. I get happy through eating a cake or a piece of toffee. I get happiness when I meet somebody who is in tune with me. I get happiness while watching the TV. I see birds separate from me. I see animals separate from me. I see my parents who are separate from me. So duality is confirmed right from the beginning of the creation. We don't need any scriptures to confirm reality of the duality. Duality is perceived through direct perception. So the mind is absorbed in duality right from the childhood. This is the thing what we have to correct with the mind. It's a big work, lot of effort, lot of disciplines we have to give to the mind so that it can absorb the non-separateness or non-duality about what we are in real. The non-duality is the real nature of a person. So non-duality is to be understood from only through the valid means of knowledge. No other way. One should work on that to understand what is non-duality. In other words, non-duality in Sanskrit is called Advaitam. Nadvaitam is called Advaitam. There is no second thing in the world, only perception perception is occurring due to illusion. That's all. So non-duality is to be taught traditionally by the traditional teacher, which are unfolded by our scriptures called Upanishads. So here, in the way of systematic studying, the 25th verse says that Pranave, Pranava means the Om, the syllable Om. In the Om, may one get absorbed completely with the mind and the intellect. Intellect already grasped the knowledge through systematic studies from the traditional teacher. But our mind is not in our hand to make it understand the non-duality and to train it to live a life according to non-duality. It's not very easy. So training of the mind is essential through disciplines. Like when you go to a yoga teacher, your hands are not very easy to go what he or she says in a yoga posture. So he will try to give some tricks like support of the rocks, bricks, support of the rope, support of a bar. Slowly you will bend your legs and hands. This support will be taken away after a period of time. Similarly, mind is incapable alone to work according to the studies of non-duality. Mind doesn't have the interest, if I can say, mind doesn't want to perform a lifestyle according to the non-duality what we heard. It want only a lifestyle according to the duality which is perceived. For example, I always got happiness from a secondary thing. How can a mind avoid a secondary thing in search of happiness? But In the scriptures, it is told the happiness which you have accumulated from a secondary thing is nothing but a drop of your own happiness. That happiness which is originated from one's own self. In order to understand that origination of happiness from oneself, in order to understand that, mind should go through certain disciplines. And Omkara is a support, alampanam. This taking the Omkara as a support, one can reduce the interaction with the duality and one can get closer with the non-duality. That is why the meditation of the Omkaram is prescribed for these spiritual seekers in the kārikā first session in base of Agama Prakaranam. Yuncheda pranave chetaha. May one put together the mind and the intellect and may one meditate upon the Omkara. Put together means may one train the mind according to the intellect which listened from the traditional scriptures. Pranavo Brahma Nirbhayam. Omkara indeed is a designation and it has an object directly pointing by the Omkara. It's called Brahman, the one's own self, which is all pervading, which is the nature of Nirbhayam, fearlessness. Once we understand oneself that I am the all pervading Brahman, fearlessness will be the nature of oneself. We won't fear of inferior things or superior things. I mean, inferior things means insects, some animals, etc., etc. Superior things, like few people believe in ghost, few people believe in negative energy, few people believe in one's own destiny. All are superior things which are the subjects of fear. Once you come to know the entire world is sustained by myself. I am the self. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not the complex. Then we will not be fear of inferior or superior things in the world. Even devotion to the Lord for few people are due to the fear of life. I got a heart attack. My hands are swelling. I cannot see the people properly. I cannot listen. I have certain diseases. Oh Lord, please take care of my diseases. This is one kind of devotion, just due to the insecurity about oneself. When the scripture says our intrinsic nature is free from death and birth, what is the point of fearing the death and the fear of death and birth? No need of fear. So understanding will only avoid the fear. Like when you know this is a rope, this is not a snake, that understanding will take away the fear about the snake and etc. Similarly, knowing oneself, I am the Brahman, which is free of any fear. Abhayam pratishtham vindade. Taittiriya Upanishad says a striking statement, a status attained by a person who comes to know he is Brahman or she is Brahman. One who comes to know oneself that I am the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, which is the sustainer of the entire creation and which is the form of consciousness. that person will attain a status where there is no fear. Abhayam Pratishtham Vindade. Second chapter, 7th section, 11th shloka, where there will be no fear in one's own. When we come to know, I am Brahman, I am not the body. When we think I am body, the mind is familiar with the duality. Mind will not easily avoid this pattern of thinking that I am this body, he is a body, she is a body, lot of bodies are around me, I am one of these human bodies, so I have this type of problems. I am mother of these people, I am the sister of this type of people, I have jealousy, I have pressures to do certain unwanted things. All these things will come under duality. Duality is accepted by the mind for several years, and it is the base of my character. And I deal with the world from this knowledge of duality. The whole duality is negated. All duality is negated by understanding, by the discrimination about oneself. Then only the mind will behave according to the real nature of oneself. The mind is behaving according to the superimposition of oneself that I am this body. Body is only an error on perception. An error, just an error. Everybody is going through this error and they take as it is true. Once you understand that body is not at all there, it's only perceived as though it is real. For understanding this, one needs to listen several times about the reality of oneself. That is why pranave nityayuktasya, when a person put together his mind and intellect or get absorbed in the real nature of oneself, which heard from the traditional teacher and scriptures, na bhayam vidyade kojit. He never get afraid of anything in the world. Total insecurity has gone. Now, this is the meaning of 25th. Now I will read the 26th verse and I will give you the meaning. Pranavo hi aparam brahma pranavascha parasmrataha apurvo anantaro abbahyaha anaparaha pranavo avyayaha. Once more I will read. Pranavo hi aparam brahma pranavascha parasmrataha apurvo anantaro abbahyaha anaparaha pranavo avyayaha. There are a lot of teachers taken Māṇḍūkya Upanishads, and there are recordings of other teachers. If you search in the social media, you will get a lot of people's Māṇḍūkya Upanishads explanation. I have studied with 3 or 4 people Māṇḍūkya Upanishad. I don't follow any of them. I have the gist of the verse and what is correct according to the Advaita philosophy, according to the non-dual philosophy, I used to share with you. Okay. So no need to compare with any of the explanations. I have my own way. I don't follow anybody, not only in the Advaita philosophy. Right from the childhood also, we are all backbenchers. We don't listen to teachers. So we are on the backbench, always. Nothing wrong on that. Your ability is not measured through only academical qualifications. Even though we got all the academical qualifications and everything, I saw a lot of dull-witted people after acquiring a lot of academical qualification, in personal. So, There is no connection for the academical qualifications and your moksha, for you are free from this world. Academical qualification is only a ego puffing. I am a doctor. I'm an engineer. I work for this company. I have this knowledge of how to hack somebody. I have uh, I have this knowledge of how to deal with some. Only the essential knowledge you should have in your life is how to cook a dish which you like. All other knowledge is not at all needed. Understand? Because for that you cannot depend upon somebody. You have to study with somebody how to cook a dish which you love or which you enjoy. Because that person is not available at all every time when you need a dish. Because your body has to survive. And remember, when we go outside to eat somewhere in the hotel and everything, our favorite dish, most of the hotels serve veg and non-veg. This is the biggest issue. Even though the veg food will be tasty, they will be supplying non-veg also in the same hotel. That's the main contrast. So it will be nice to essential part of your life in order to study academical qualifications. I prefer, even you have or not, it's not a problem. They help you to acquire some money, some residence, some food, shelter, and clothes, etc., which are also part of our life. By God's grace, one who study Vedanta or one who go through Advaita philosophy, everything will be provided by the Lord. Really speaking, Yoga Kshemam Mahamyam. Lord Krishna's promise for a person who study Advaita. Fine. What I want to say, academical qualifications are not a measure of emancipation, freedom from this world, or freedom from the limitations. You don't connect your academical qualifications and the freedom of limitations. They are traveling in different directions. Okay. Now I come to the total. So I want to make you sure that no need to compare of anybody's explanation regarding Māṇḍūkya Upanishad. I am also giving the gist and also my opinions, which are personal, which are just having some light in my mind by the traditional teachers' blessings. That's all. So I will give the explanations according to Adi Shankara, and my opinions will be personal. Pranavohi aparam brahma. Omkara can be meditated as the name of your desired deity. Aparam Brahma, a very famous word in the philosophy. Aparam Brahma, Param Brahma. Apara Vidya, Para Vidya. So both words always come and goes. So that is what being told here. What is Aparam Brahma? If you look into the translation of Aparam, you will get inferior. There is no inferior and superior in philosophy. When a person is preparing for the ultimate reality, that person is called a spiritual seeker. When a person attained the supreme reality, that person is called sage or a noble-hearted person, traditional teacher, sadhu, lot of names. When a person is preparing for a spiritual understanding, that person will have a lot of issues personally with the mind, with the dealings. What are the experiences they have gone through in their life? According to that only, even they will perceive the spiritual teachings. For those who are spiritual seekers, for them, supreme reality being a non-dual entity which is not perceived by any of our senses, it's not very easy for them to meditate upon an invisible entity, because eyes and ears are always familiar with the objects. If you want to meditate, you will say, I want a form to meditate. So Supreme Brahman, one's own self, is invisible for the senses. Indriya Atidam, transcendental. People use different words and get confused. This is the simple way to make you understand. It is invisible for our senses. When something is invisible in this world, we conclude safely it is not there. Such an entity never exists in this world, because invisible, that word itself shows that something which doesn't have a form or something which cannot be perceived by our senses. So we will easily conclude ourselves something which is not visible is not available for perception because it never existed. For those who believe this logic that something which is not available for our senses to see or to perceive, for them, starting point will be some trouble, will have some trouble. For them, they can believe in their desired deity as the creator or their ultimate goal. For example, in Indian Hindu gods, there are elephant-faced deity called Ganesha. There is another lord in other face, in horse face, in monkey face. And not only with that, there are some divine, extraordinary human beings wearing the snakes in their neck, who have an ice in the forehead, whose hair is always equipped with a water flow called Ganges. So these are all extraordinary human beings as their creator. Deities have different names who are familiar. Vishnu is there, who is sleeping in a coiled serpent as as it becomes a mattress for him, a coiled bed. In feminine goddess Saraswati, who always connected with the art, singing, everything, writing, literatures, etc., etc. There is a goddess who is connected with this type of arts, etc., etc. Is called Saraswati, who lives in the pond, in a lotus, white lotus, etc., etc. Features are many. Those who are familiar with the Hindu culture, you will get all these goddess in your mobile phone itself if you search. They are all divine entities as a belief for the spiritual seekers for the help of meditation. Mind need a name and form for the sake of meditation. If it is a favor according to your imagination, it will be very easy. Everybody loves this elephant-faced deity called Lord Ganesha. Why? One is he's a baby. Other is he's always interested in eating all the time. He is not interested even to get a marriage. He is the Lord of obstacles, either putting the obstacles in one's own path or either removing the obstacles of one's own path. He is the Lord of helping to start anything without any issues. One who gives the potential to start anything without any troubles, without any starting troubles. So everybody loves this deity called Ganesha because everybody wants, I am going to open a hotel. So there should not be obstacles. Oh, please pray to this Lord Ganesha. Similarly, I don't want any obstacles in my path. Please pray to Lord Ganesha. So people, most of the Hindu people of India love Ganesha. And it is the deity which is daily prayers are offered by every Hindu people in their home before getting out of the home for a mission or to their job, etc., etc. Few people wear Ganesha's locket in their mala, in their garland, so in a golden chain. Few people have in their nose ring. So Ganesha is treated as a beautiful deity who is getting the status of creator. Few others believe in Lord Shiva, who is the destroyer of all kinds of sick and diseases, physical and mental ills, who is the destroyer of all kinds of garbages in our mind. Lord Shiva. There is another deity in Hindu tradition called Lord Vishnu, who sustains this world in spite of all the obstacles happening in this creation, who run the whole show of this creation. Is called Lord Vishnu. There is another four-faced personality as a deity for Hindu tradition called Brahmaji. We are not talking about the supreme entity called Brahman, even though it has also the name Brahmaji. It's a four-faced man who is looking towards northeast, west, and south. Looking towards four directions, having face. That represents the all-pervasiveness. What I want to say, when the mind is needed a name and form to meditate, we can choose in India any one of this deity, and it is a big support for the mind to grasp the real formless Brahman. It will be helpful. In the village of India, a woman used to go to cut the grass for their cattle in the mountains. They cut the grass and tie with a plantain rope, which is made of from the plantain stem or from the plantain leaf. that rope will be easy to tight. They tie their entire grass which is cut for the cattle. They bring that. This knot is something extraordinary strong. But they know how they put the knot. Because they walk from the tip of the mountain towards the bottom. In the bottom, they will put another knot and they will pull to two directions. The bunch of grass will become more thin and the knot will be released, what they have put from the top of the mountain. This logic is applied here. Our mind is going to different direction of different names and forms. I love my uncle. I love this bird. I love to visit this type of places. I love this dish. I have a lot of things which are favor for my mind. And I am behind all these names and forms. From all these names and forms, we tie a single knot called a desirable deity in our life. For other religious people, they can even choose their own beliefs like Buddha, Jesus, Allah, whoever it may be. The Om is the representation of Buddha. So too the Om is the representation of Jesus. So too the Om is the representation of Allah, whoever it may be. Om is a designation for the creator, which is called a desirable deity. What is the mind desires? This is a knot which we put to take away all other knots, what we call other names and forms in the world. When we put a knot tighten, it's very easy for us to take away this knot and give up. Our mind is scattered in different names and forms. This scattered mind is brought back to a single deity or single name and form called the creator, which can be any deity which you prefer in your life. Even you can choose asking the opinion with your traditional teacher. Any deity which you love in your life, who is the supporter of your life, who make you to move in your life, that deity is called Aparam Brahma. The deity which is having name and form and which is named as Omkara. Any deity, even Ganesha is Om. Omkara Porule Ganesha. Om indeed Lord Ganesha. Om indeed Lord Shiva. Om indeed Lord Jesus. Om indeed Lord Allah. Whatever it is. You choose any of the deity. You need not remember even the form of the deity. You just remember the letter, the syllable Om. Here it is told, Pranavohi Aparam Brahma. Pranavaha, the Omkara is called Pranavaha, is the inferior Brahman or the creator which you have chose to meditate. There is a name and a form, and the name will be Om and the form will be your desirable deity or desired deity. This is called Aparam Brahma. Indeed, this Omkara will also becomes the form name for the Parabrahma. Parabrahma is the subject matter of Advaita philosophy. There is no form, there is no name. Param, the ultimate, the supreme reality, which is the consciousness, which is the locus of my body. The body is superimposed on this consciousness, and this consciousness is called Param Brahma. This consciousness is called Brahma. This consciousness is called the self. This consciousness is called the Atma. Any word you can choose to call it the self of oneself. That consciousness is also meditated, giving a name called Om. Pranavascha aparam Brahma, Pranavascha param Brahma. Both the creator who is having a form is also meditated by keeping the Om as a support. So too the formless consciousness is also meditated by keeping the support called Om. Thus, Omkara, the Om syllable, will become the support for both. If you are a spiritual seeker, you need a form. You choose the Omkara as the name of the Creator and meditate upon it. Suppose you know that consciousness is the reality of entire name and form world. There is no parts, only the clay remains in the entire pot world. Similarly, there is only one consciousness which is appearing in different names and forms. One who understood properly is called a person who has liberated, Mukta Purushaha, a person who has freed from all kinds of limitations. He may continue in that particular body, but he will be free from all kinds of limitations of the body. He will not feel the hunger. He will not feel the thirst. Even he feel he can give up the thirst because he is beyond all kinds of limitations. When a person transcends everything, what is the point of worrying about hunger and thirst? There will be no hurt due to the wounds of outside body or inside the body. The wound may occur. This is how a liberated one appears in the world. He is not at all interested in the beauty of external appearance. He is not at all interested how the people may think of oneself. He knows, I am the self. I am not this body. What others think is not a problem for an enlightened one. An enlightened one will not seek the approval of others to live in this world. An enlightened one will not be worried about why these people told about me like this. An enlightened personality will be always keep quiet regarding the external world's opinions. They are not interested what others say. You have an appearance what is given by the Creator, which is not at all you. You are the consciousness. You are nothing but the consciousness. The consciousness remains, and this consciousness is formless. And on that consciousness, there are a lot of names and forms. Fish, frog, shark, snake, turtle, human being, tiger, trees, mountains, wood, sky, stars, solar system. All these names and forms are just a superimposition on the supreme consciousness, and I am that supreme consciousness. One who came to know after a length of study under a traditional teacher, this person will also meditate on Omkara. When you meditate upon the Omkara with a purpose, I want to get a proper mind to focus on the traditional teaching. There is a purpose of meditating on Omkara. But a person who already accomplished the fact of non-duality, there is no purpose of meditating on Omkara. Still he meditate for the sake of others, or still he meditate how to teach others. So the first person will choose a name and form of Omkara as a creator, Aparam Brahma. The second person who has already accomplished the reality will not have any name and form to meditate. He just know that this supreme consciousness having the name called Omkara, even that is a superimposition. Thus, Omkara can be used by the spiritual seekers. Omkara can be used by the people who have attained this spiritual destination, what we call I am the Supreme Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. Those people who always in the form of Samadhi state, they are free from all kinds of worldly activities and also the phenomenal activities of the body, like breathing, looking, listening. All these things are only the phenomenon of a body. He is not interested on that. He will be just the witness of all the activities going on the body and the world. That person will also meditate with the mind, the Supreme Brahman as Omkara. So I will I will give one more tip in support of this vision. Manifested form of the consciousness is called Aparam Brahma. Unmanifested form, which is the reality, which is the non-dual Brahman, is called Param Brahma. Manifested forms are many. For different religions, gods are many. They have different names and different forms. Unmanifested form is one. Just like clay is one and the pots are many. Pots are manifested names and forms. But clay, even though appear in our eyes, there is an unmanifestation of pot in the clay. Similarly, the consciousness is unmanifested actually, always. Any manifested form is not free from limitations. If the manifested form is in the form of a male, it has a limitation of female. If the manifested form is in the form of a female, there is a limitation of male. So too, lot of limitations are there when we meditate on a manifested form. But as a beginning, we need a manifested form as a supreme Brahman, supreme reality, that Atma, the Brahman, is manifested in this form of deity. That is why here, Omkara, the Pranavahi Aparam Brahma. The Omkara is indeed the manifested form of Brahman, or the creator form. And Pranavascha Parasmrataha. The wise remember that unmanifested form of consciousness is also called in the form of Omkara. Apurvo anantaro abbahyaha anaparaha. Apurvaha. All these words are listened before if you have attended Upanishads. If not, I will give you. Apurvaha. There is no beginning. There is no cause. Apurvaha. A son will always have a cause of father. Father is the cause of son. So father will become Purvaha and the son will become Paraha. So Apurvaha means there is no cause. Wherever there is a cause and product relationship, when the cause is eliminated, the product will also get eliminated. There is no cause for this consciousness which is the supreme. Anantaraha, there is no product. There is no product appeared from this supreme consciousness. When a father gives birth to a baby or mother gives birth to a baby, this is called Anantaraha. Then that foremost cause will become limited, divided into two, Dvaitam. This consciousness is Purnam, partless. This consciousness is complete. There is no giving birth for a product. It is not born out of a cause. It is Nityam, permanent in the world in the form of consciousness. These two words should eliminate the parentage from a personal, from a person who listened this Advaitam. Because we are very much proud of our parentage. My father is this, my mother is this. Some people are always inferior complex. My father is this, my father is this. One should take away these thoughts from one's own mind. There is no cause for me. There is no other things born out of me. There is no parentage in reality. I am not worried about any living beings which are connected to me. Of course, you have a sacred heart, noble heart. You can help somebody. Your father is seeking some help. You can help. Your mother is seeking some help. You can help. But don't connect with them, anybody emotionally. We are very much connected with our laws, daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, nephew, niece, etc. Because they are my blood. This Apurvaha and Anataraha has lot of things to say to a listening person. If you want to commit yourself to be free from all kinds of worries, take away all your emotional connections with all these people. Of course, you can help them, everybody, without getting connected emotionally. As long as you have the breath, you should help them as a father, mother, etc., etc. But Apurvaha and Anantaraha should take away all the emotional bondages towards the world and people who are connected with you. This is how you train your mind to get absorbed in the non-duality. When you are Janana Marana Rahitaha, free from birth and death, what is the point of talking about superior parentage or inferior parentage? You are free from both of them because you don't have really parentage. There is no birth or there is no death. Indirectly, it is pointing that. Apurva and Anantara. So take away all kinds of emotional bondages, which will be helpful to get the balance in the life when people hurt you, when people misuse you, when people mislead you, when people take advantages on you. You will be manipulating the mind, not the people, by giving this knowledge. This is the only way. Understanding the reality and taking away all the unreal thoughts is the only way to become matured in this world. Body is connected with different people. It is for sure because it has a birth and death. But body is not me. Body is only a superimposition. What is the point of superimposed thing to take as it real? When I know I am the consciousness which is free from death and birth, I am not connected with any parents or anybody in this world. I am the entire world and creation. There is no bigger personality in front of me. There is no inferior personality in me. The president of the nation also Brahman. The beggar is also Brahman. The ant is also Brahman. The star is also Brahman. Everything will be one in the eyes of an intelligent, a learned personality, a matured personality. Once you come to know the reality about one's own nature, the self is everything. Sarvam Kalu Idam Brahma. We already studied. Everything is nothing but Brahman. So the stars and the ants and the bigger personalities and the inferior, everything is nothing but Brahman. This is what I want to say. Apurvaha and Anantaraha should take all kinds of knots connected with the body, emotions, and body limitations. And also, Abbahyaha Anaparaha. Abbahyaha. No need to seek outside. You are the creator in the form of consciousness, who is almighty, who is also all-knowing. Abbahyaha. It is inside also, it is outside also. All pervading is being indirectly pointed out through Abbahyaha. Sabahyaha Abhyantaraha hi ajaha. Ishavasya Upanishad says. So you don't search the creator outside, externally. It's there inside. Inside the human body, the consciousness is pervading everywhere. That consciousness is pervading in the entire world. Abhahya. Anaparaha. There is no secondary thing in the world other than this. There is no born something from this. There is no cause for this. There is no secondary thing other than this in the world. Only thing which remains in this world is Parabrahma. The entire ocean never existed at any point of time. Only water existed at all the time. Ocean is a name for the water. Similarly, body is only a name for the consciousness. The superimposition is not at all real. The original thing which exists behind the superimposition is the content of myself. That is being told here as the Anaparaha. There is no secondary thing. It is the only unlimited thing in the world. It goes in and through each and every object. Okay. And it's called Pranavaha. What is Pranavam? Pranavam means Omkara, only the syllable. And Avyayaha. Navedi. Vyayam. Declining. Like the moon declines after the full moon. This is called Vyayam. Avyayam. When something is Purnaha. When something is always the permanent nature, how can it goes down and can increase? There is no decrease and increase in terms of its nature. My mind will be subject to emotion. I didn't get the message from my lovable one. I will get down. I feel very down. I got something very good in today, some good feeling through my lovable one. I get more potential. I get boosted. These ups and downs are not there for an enlightened one, a conscious person who understood I am the consciousness. He never get upset. He never get elevated by the happiness. He will be in the same condition at all the time. He will not be laughing. He will not be crying. He will be at the same condition. I am the Supreme Brahman. It's not that he will be always serious. He is the one of the simplest person in the world. When you see an enlightened person, he will be ready to do anything for you. He will be ready to help you at any cost. He is not a serious person. So, avyayaha, na veti. There is no destruction. There is no something you can add for that. Every time it is permanent and purna. This is the nature of oneself. This is being told in all Upanishads. All Upanishads. It's also repeated in the kārikā. So, I will give once more the entire meaning in a simple manner. Pranavohi aparam Brahma. Of course, the creator who is in the form, there is a form, who is having a form, is also can be meditated in the form of Omkara. And Pranavascha Parasmritaha. Pranavaha, the Omkara is also meditated as the ultimate reality. That ultimate reality doesn't have any cause. That ultimate reality didn't give any birth for anything. It is not an external object. It's not something having a secondary thing. It is not, it is Omkara, it is Avyayaha, non-destructible at any cost. Very beautiful verse. And we will stop here. We will continue in the next class. Om Swasti Prajabhyat Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahisha Gobrahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyah Prithvi Sasya Shalini Deshoyam Kshoparahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om